Kia ora everyone, welcome to The Curious Healer. Today I am at the beautiful Te Moata Retreat here in the Coromandel, and I've just had an incredible weekend with the Women's Gathering Retreat and Women's Rising Retreat, and it's been such a pleasure to be here. And I just brought Sunny in today. Sunny is one of the guardians of the land and wisdom keepers and space holders, and it's been really a pleasure to get to know her over the last few days. So Sunny, thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And I thought it was a nice opportunity to just share, because it was a bit of a hidden gem for me. I just stumbled across it, and it's so incredible to have this native bush and the history and everything here. So I wondered if you could tell me a little bit more about this space and how it came to exist.
It feels like it's becoming more and more precious because, the Coromandel's getting popular, and this is still a hidden gem. There's 800 acres of native bush. It's all under a QE2 covenant, so it's protected. It can't be built on. It's very carefully held. And it's off the grid, which is amazing still. So all solar power, we pump water from the stream. So it's very simple. And the land is always the sort of the main holder here. The buildings are very small, and the land is the wonderful holder, which is what most people feel when they come. Yeah.
It is. It's traveling around New Zealand, and I've been to many retreat centres, but there's something particularly special about that, and this one, and it's got quite a rich history in terms of how it began, and I wonder if you could touch on a little bit about it.
So it was originally it was a farmland, and it was bought and created as a meditation centre. And all of this planting actually on this side of the beautiful stream has been planted in that time. So, and in 1998, the person who started it, Tim, was ready to sell. And so 3 women bought it and a man. And then I came on board in the year 2000. So 4 women were holding the energy of the land from that point. And so what we did is start to bring that, what we'd call the nurturing divine feminine energy onto the land. So that male wonderful energy had built the buildings and, put in the water pipes, and then the women came and began to soften. So we put carpet in the buildings, and we started to create circles on the land. So we created what we call a lavender circle, which faces the east in the first morning light. We created, where we're sitting here, the Rimu circle, which has a fire pit in the centre. And then we created further down into the bush a green Tara circle, which has a beautiful pounamu in the centre. And then we created one of our wonderful creations was a labyrinth here on the land, which hopefully you can put a photo up. And it's based on the design of the labyrinth that's embedded in the stone floor of Chartres Cathedral in France. So it's a full-size labyrinth, and it's made out of the silt from the stream and the clay, and all the stones are handmade. And it's been here for now 26 years. So it's incredible, and it's the heart centre of Te Moata, really. So, so I've been involved since the year 2000. And as anyone knows who's run a place like this, you get to a point where you get a bit tired. And so then we step back, and there have been various managers who have held this place over the years. When we stepped out at about 2010. But we're still all very involved in holding the energy here. And wonderful managers seem to appear. They get drawn to this place, and it's very hands-on. You have to pump the water from the stream and chop the wood for to heat the boiler, and so it's very earthy. But people love that. There's something really getting more and more precious, really, in the world to have this.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I feel more than ever, especially on my journey, that connection with nature and the richness, but also like here in New Zealand and Aotearoa, like it's just a very special piece of land and space to be in. And I know we talk a little bit about the energies of the land, and you shared a little bit on the first day around that. And I don't know too much about that, and I don't know if you do, but I know there's quite a few little ley line pockets and things that are crossing through here. I can feel it.
Yeah, and of course, women particularly, and certainly in those early days, would have our pendulums out and we'd be dowsing and, intuiting. So there is where the labyrinth was chosen, that area, there is a ley line that comes up from the ocean straight through the centre of the labyrinth and goes up to meet the main ley line that goes down through the North Island. And we've had in 2005 the Waitaha, who are a Maori tribe who are non-warring. They've always followed the path of peace, and they've always followed a matriarchal line, beautiful, peaceful, and very quiet. Most people, really didn't know about them, but they were really holding the taonga of the pounamu. And they came to Te Moata in 2005, and they gifted us a beautiful pounamu, which, as I said, sits in the Green Tara. But when they were here, they were very in tune with the land, and they were going around all the time, just, balancing the energies. And so it's, in my experience, and I know from seeing so many people, it's quite an intense place. Like when one of our lovely elders always says, all you've got to do is show up and you just come here. Sometimes you don't know what you're coming to particularly, but the land and the energies here and the container we create just, work in you and people and myself. I mean, I had incredible heart-opening, transformative experiences, just being in the bush. So there is something here.
Yeah, I feel this. And if you don't mind sharing a little bit about you and your journey. So you came here, and I've got the sense over the weekend that everyone that come here once has come here multiple times over the years. It's sort of it lures you in a way. But I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a great surprise to me because I'm a Kiwi, but I went to England, and I was in England for 21 years. Very happy. I was a chiropractor and, living my life. And then I had this little voice, a little inkling inside said, it's time to go back. And I just went, you've got to be kidding. There's nothing in me. Anyway, I said, I'll go back, but I want a sign that it's meant to happen. So anyway, long story short, I did get that sign. So I sold up and I came back. And I was sitting here and I had no idea why I'd come back. Why am I here back in New Zealand? And I went to a evening of Dances of Universal Peace that was being held in Auckland. And the two women who were running it mentioned Te Moata. And there was a retreat on at Easter. And I thought, oh, well, I'm here, I might as well go and see. Just really very casual, thought I'll just go and see what that's like. So I came down in Easter 2000, and it was a very full-on Dances of Universal Peace retreat. So everybody was eye-gazing and hugging and heart open. And I, after being 21 years in England, completely hated it. My first experience of Te Moata, I hated. I felt completely shut off. The more loving and hugging and eye-gazing people were, the worse it got. But I didn't leave for some reason. But I went, I was so sort of, shut off. I hadn't realised I was like that, but anyway. And so I just went out into the bush, just to escape, really. Went out into the bush and over the stream, and I was just heading up, and literally I was stopped in my tracks. And this voice just said to me, just relax, become like a child, don't take it all so seriously. And it's like this just peace just descended into my mind, and I felt my heart just like open, like just like that in the bush with no one around. That's what I say. Like, just don't take it all so seriously, become like a child. And honestly, from that moment onwards, I was like this different person. I came back to the centre and there were the dances happening, and I'm just like loving everybody, and I gave. And like it was just completely natural to me because somehow I'd been done, in the bush. And I've never gone back. So then I was sort of like, okay. And then one of the four needed to sell their shares. So here I was back in New Zealand. I had the money from selling my house in England. My heart was open. So hello, it was obvious. This is why I'd come back. And it was just then that we started clearing the land for the labyrinth. And I had all the time in the world. So I became very involved in actually putting all the labyrinth in, all the copper and, doing all the work on the labyrinth with other people. But I was here sort of full time doing that. And, just amazing, amazing experiences. Wow. And, if anyone had told me in England that you're going to be in the middle of the New Zealand bush on your hands and knees making a labyrinth, I would have gone.
Singing, dancing and eye gazing and all of the jazz.
So when I see new people coming and they're sitting there like this and going, and can't bear it and wanting to escape, I go, it's fine, it'll happen. You don't have to make it happen.
I love that because I was literally that new person that came here, and we broke into small groups, and I had the pleasure of having Sunny as my guide over those groups. I spoke openly and honestly, but yeah, it was a little bit too much for me to start with. But the bush and the different energies and just the places you can go and be, it just feels like the whole thing is healing in its simplicity. And what I loved about this gathering in particular is it's welcoming of everyone, who they are, what they are, whatever kind of I mean, obviously it's a women's gathering, this one, but it's just really open and heart-centered, and everyone's gifting their gift to the space, to the circle. And it's quite a magical thing. Could you share a little bit, because I'm not really sure some of the things that we were doing, but they're kind of like ancient ritual spaces, or?
Yeah, I mean, in this women's gathering, we really bring in a lot of the ancient wisdom. Yeah, so really opening the four directions, for example, at the very beginning, and at the end of the retreat, we'll close the four directions. Those are ancient rituals that have been known for, a long time. We'll do the anointing of we do self-anointing now, but, bringing the whole Mary Magdalene energy in of anointing, of really honouring everybody's journey.
Sorry, just touching on that. I didn't know what the word anointing was.
Right.
Do you mind?
So it's I guess it does come out of the Christian tradition, although it's way before that. So in the Christian tradition, Mary Magdalene had the women's knowledge, of all the oils that they used to gather and mix, and they were for, every oil has a frequency, really, like anyone healer will tell you that now. And it seemed to be the women that would do the anointing in certain rituals. So, it could be, anointing the third eye, the throat, the heart, anointing the hands and the feet. And I think in its simplest interpretation is it's a way of recognizing and honoring the one that's being anointed. And I think one of the terms for Christ is the anointed one. So Mary, as the wise woman, recognized who he was in terms of the message he was bringing. And so the anointing was like an acknowledging of that. Yeah. And now we do more of a self-anointing because we've got a big group. So you're actually acknowledging, your own journey and appreciating yourself. So that sort of, and we have, the labyrinth is a very ancient symbol. Yeah. There have been very simple labyrinths on the earth from way, way back. And again, it's a symbolic way to walk your journey. So a lot of these things are symbolic, but they impress our consciousness and our souls, We have a deep memory, even though it's not like in our minds. Yeah. There's something our bodies remember. I think that's very much the women's knowing, is that our bodies have memory from lifetimes, And it's whether you're in a male or a female body. That's not really the point. This happens to be a women's gathering, but we have many gatherings and meditation retreats, and well, equally men and women, you know. Yeah, and the main thing's the heart.
I love that, and it really is. It brings you back to how you honor yourself and your journey, and a nice reminder, sort of embracing who you are and your journey. And the more you fill your cup, how you can have that support for others. And I really like that. And I know you talk about the anointing, and some people go, "Oh no, Christian things and stuff," but it's actually here. What I found is really suits my curiosity, because there's Buddhism, there's Celtic, there's ancient wisdom, there's Sufi, there's all the things that you can that are wisdoms, that are wisdoms that have held through time.
Every spiritual tradition has a deep truth within it. It gets distorted. All of them get distorted, taken over. But if you can be in the essence of them, which is what we try and bring out the essence of them, they've all got that truth. And there's a wonderful Rumi poem that says there's 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. There's 1,000 ways. No one's right and wrong. All of them have a truth in them. What one really speaks to you. Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that, because Sunny has been our poet over this duration of time.
That's another story.
He has these hidden wisdoms. When we're having a circle gathering, it just comes out with the most profound poems. And I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot with this one. I wonder if you have one that might be good to share to the world.
I just want to share about that, is that after this heart opening, and I had other heart openings here, I woke up one morning. I've never written a poem in my life, and I don't write poetry. But I woke up and there was this beautiful poem I wrote, and then I was staying with a friend in Seattle, and within about an hour, I had 4 poems. And I was with her for 4 days, and over 4 days, there were 30 poems came through.
Wow.
And they were just exquisite. They were funny, they were deep, they were very Sufi. They were sort of that Hafiz, Rumi, very light but very deep. And they're all about the beloved and getting drunk on, it was just 30 poems. And I'd be with my friend, I'd say, give me a bit of paper, and I'd be, so I'm not a poet, but the poems come through me. And so over a couple of years when I was here, I had hundreds of poems. I'd be awake at 3 a.m. So I published a couple of books of them. And now what I find, and I still have them, and occasional stories, not as like a rapid. Now they're a bit of every now and then they come. And what I've realized, it's the way that, love and life is speaking into the world through that particular. And so now in the gathering, if one comes into me, that is one I already know, but if it's one here, then I'll share it, if it's here to be shared. So,
I love it. Wow.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so your poems are available on a book?
Well, they're out of print at the moment, but maybe this will prompt me to... I need to do them more online, I think, now. But
I think we'll all be a little bit curious to hear some more of your writing after that.
Yeah. But they're fun, and they're light, and they're deep, and they're,
life.
They're life.
All of the things that make up a human existence.
Yeah. And I think the other thing what you're touching on is when you come to a gathering, you're honoring your own journey, but you're also hearing and witnessing, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Like, you hear other people, and you just make those connections, and you go, we're really on this journey together, although we've all got our individual kind of way of doing it. And I think that's hugely supportive,
Yeah. The big thing that I'm really passionate about is the power of coming together and in that connection, whether it's for your own healing journey or just intention setting or anything. There's a vibrational shift when you amplify it with more people.
And there totally is. Being witnessed, speaking out, being seen, all of those things really, I think, help the process. Yeah.
I love that. So from your learnings over the years, what would you share to someone that's listening here? What part of your journey? I know that's a bit of a big question, but
well, I think in a way it's simple. I think we need to really take time to listen. I truly, truly know that we all have that inner prompting and guidance, and we're usually just so busy. But if you can take time, and it doesn't have to be formal, like it doesn't have to be meditation, but just to stop and listen and ask. I really think there's a lot of help around now, more and more, and follow that. Like just follow that. And what I learned really early on is you often only know the next step. You don't know way down there. You just know the next one. So just take that one, just the next step. Yeah, and then, wait, and then you take the next one. Because I mean, for my life, having lived in England and now I'm here, it's beyond your imagination where it might lead, but you just take the next step.
I love that.
Yes, simple in a way.
Very simple, because we spend so much time getting caught up and overwhelmed and stressed by all of these plans and the future thoughts. But one step in front of another, that's what you keep repeating with the labyrinth. On the labyrinth, wherever it takes you. Yeah, wherever it takes you. Yeah, and that I think needs a certain amount of courage and trust, but that then develops as you keep taking the steps. Yeah. Then it becomes, I mean, as you get older, it just becomes, hey, what now? So I'll just quickly loop back to Te Moata, because this is something that I am finding really, really like such a magical place. How can people visit? They can come to retreat?
Yeah, so there's a website, which is really good now, temoata.org, I think it is. Yeah. Anyway, just go Te Moata Retreat Centre, it'll come up. All the retreats are there, all the history and the, how you get here and where it is. And yeah, so there's a whole range of retreats. So really encourage people to come. As our elder says, you just show up and then magic happens.
Amazing. As the last little thing before we wrap up, do you have a gift of a poem?
Yeah, let me think. So I guess this really comes out of this sort of retreat. So you will dance, but not as you have danced before. You will love, but not as you have loved before. When you shed everything and everything sheds you, you will sing, for the world has not yet heard your true song. And then even the soles of your feet will know the beloved's kiss.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.